Well, a gwni cwr an gedal sias fyr cyn ffolsiwr oedd galer gadi oras yn wgdroch agus gwyryn si'r rymyd yn dawn o'r ymhenus ar ma fan cael y saifin gwyl yn meid siad yn ei taca lyn os na crif ac eis sŵlia dy ytyn y tag o'r dy cwrs eisiau con yn y hil nilion siar. May I say, dear friends, what a great pleasure it is for Sabina and I to welcome you all to Oras an Uachtaráin today. And you know, I was listening to Andy Pollock there, and he spoke about the importance of harmony. Harmony is the title I think that Prince Charles gave to his magnificent book, which drew our attention to the importance of symmetry with nature. He was about 40 years ahead of his time on that particular argument. I'm so pleased that you were all able to come here. The garden parties, the 7 garden parties we run during the summer, are opportunities for engaging with people from different experiences, and they celebrate different themes in connection to all of the things that are happening on this island. But this is a very, very special one because indeed, as you've heard, it was one that has been running for some time. It's an opportunity for all of us, north and south, east and west, to come together and celebrate and recognise, as we would say in Irish, tuairt aitheantas, recognise the importance of friendship, solidarity, compassion, and whether it is in the world of commerce, or public service, or through community groups, faith organisations, trade unions, academia, civic organisations, I just want to join with Andy in saying it is wonderful to see so many people here today representing and reflecting the diversity of Northern Ireland. I mentioned friendship. I think Aristotle is giving advice to his son Nicomachus once said, the ethics of friendship make a demand that is greater than the ethics of justice, insofar as you can't calculate, if you like, what is required in the ethics of friendship. And friendship is so important. It is something that requires work, but also it is something that comes not from reason alone, but as what I have said in some of my speeches, it comes from the music of the heart. I have indeed want to say how much I welcome members of the Corrymeela community who played such an important part with their colleagues in Glencree in the promotion of peace and reconciliation on our island. I remember I visited Corrymeela in 2016 to a seminar entitled Living Well Together Beyond 2016. And there I spoke about giving meaning to big words like reconciliation. And I think what I spoke about that time, I think I had a rather pretentious title of remembering, forgiving, forgetting, and then I added on and imagining as well. Because if I was drawing on Paul Ricoeur and the French philosopher and Richard Carney and particularly Hannah Arendt to deal with remembering, forgiving and forgetting, I also felt that the whole purpose, if there is an essential part in Hannah Arendt's work, it is that you must take any event of the past and make sure that it doesn't have the capacity to rob you of living it well in the present and, more importantly, imagining a future. And these were topics I returned to recently when I had the privilege of giving the Harry Halkery lecture in Queen's University, Belfast. But before I travelled to Belfast, I had the honour of visiting Tyrone and Derry and witnessing the community and that is so full of animation and sustains Northern Ireland. And there, as one encounters a sense of place and geography and tradition, and I maybe surprised some people by pointing out that 50% of the Presbyterians at one stage spoke the Irish language as their first language, and I spoke to people about Charlotte Brooke and others, pointing out that language itself, and particularly the Irish language and Scots Gaelic, and you add them all together, I think at a certain stage until about 1900, they're about 1/5 of all of the languages spoken both in the United Kingdom and Ireland. I think that visit reminded me of the diverse traditions on our island, but more importantly about the shared heritage and history, what one draws from the way that places are described and the names given to things that are intimate in terms of culture and song and music and dance and sports and language. And all of that is made possible by the work of people like yourselves. Words like reconciliation, and even greater words that are written in formal documents such as peace agreements, Belfast agreements, they have to be turned into the practical lived experience, hopes and prospects of people who transact their lives in everyday day. At Drumragh, the birthplace of the Bard of Ulster, William Forbes Marshall, a renowned linguist, poet, scholar and Presbyterian minister, I attended the opening of new grounds of the Drumragh Sarsfields GA Club, a sign of the growing strength of Gaelic games and of course football in Tyrone. And I can't possibly, as President of Ireland, speak about one county rather than another. But in a kind of fortunate symmetry of that visit, I visited the wonderful Ulster American Folk Park, which owes so much work to the work of William Forbes Marshall in recovering the experiences and telling the story of all those who sailed from Ulster to North America in the 18th century. And really, when I was a very young academic studying migration for the first time, I remember looking at all those letters from the very early South Ulster, North Munster migrations to Canada and the United States. But at Queen's, what I added that extra word on, beyond remembering, forgetting and forgiving, the word imagining. And what I meant about that is that the Good Friday Agreement that's referred to 20 years ago is a set of possibilities, as we would put it in Irish, féideartaí gan teorainn, all the endless possibilities of the future. And I think what's good is that, and why you are so welcome here, and you will always be welcome here, well and beyond any garden parties or anything else, is that peace is something that isn't just a static state. It is something that is an experience that is walked through, requiring effort. And it's too easy to say, I spoke it in the Harry Halcree lecture, to say you must put yourself in the shoes of the other. Someone once said is that one of the reasons for putting yourself in the shoes of the other is to run away with them. But you couldn't, in fact, actually say that. I think what is very important is to be able to say that one is deepened and enriched by, in fact, being able to put yourself into the thinking of another person. And it really gets to a very practical point when you can anticipate the fears of the other and reveal the fears that oneself has. I know that Northern Ireland is continuing to operate without an executive. I think I described it in Belfast as saying this as if the agreement in some respects has been moved to a siding, and we must all work together to get it from that siding. But I think the work of going on, I think it is you keeping it all going. You are in fact actually saving the space and saving the time and saving the prospects and the hopes for the future. And I think what we aspire to is an open, generous, inclusive society on this island. Internationally, we're all challenged. It's quite frightening to think that for 250 years of a particular kind of connection between industry, economy and society, we have put a 4.5 billion-year-old planet into danger. We're challenged by climate change. It requires a global response. We have to live differently if we have to live sustainably. And all of that is all part, if you like, of living and creating the conditions of peace. And the task of building a shared future never comes to a halt. And in your workplaces, I was speaking at the International Labour Organization in Geneva recently, and I said I wanted to pay a particular tribute to the trade union movement in Northern Ireland in particular, who took such a wonderful stand always against sectarianism, but to all the organisations who have concentrated on what can be done together rather than what divides, I pay tribute. I think it's work that goes on. Thankfully, it's work that can, if you like, go on in the temporary absence of an executive. But I think that all of you know how different the conditions of peace are from the conditions of conflict. What's required there as well, it isn't only a matter, if there is a history in Europe sometimes when we're speaking about the future of union and the European Union, and we speak about other issues in many ways. All that is important in the end is a generous approach to inclusivity of community in the widest sense. And we will need that now. I think the United Kingdom leaving the European Union is a decision with people like myself makes us sad. But whatever, I do want to say this, however the outcome is handled, we still have to work and deepen, and it will not threaten for even a second the warm relations that have been built up east, west, north and south. When Queen Elizabeth visited here, this house here, and spoke, when I returned and visited in 2000, very soon after my election as president, I couldn't begin to tell you all the different events we have shared together, whether it is in all the different spaces and places where people from both of our peoples lost their lives in World War I. We've shared these events together, and we will share more. But what is even more important is that we stay understanding each other through all the circumstances of Brexit and beyond. Your work, you will have laid great foundations in community understanding, and you have understanding the ties that bind us. I sometimes think we don't even put enough attention into the things that we have in common. I mentioned the Irish language, which belongs to all of us. And Irish language is part of the same family as languages as Scots Gaelic and Welsh and Breton, all of those other things. All of these things, in a way, the reasons for looking at the past. I took David Reef's book and I said, well, maybe the problem is that people aren't forgetting enough. Amnesia is not the answer at all. It is so much morally superior, I think, to actually transact the past, and to transact the past with generosity in a way that will release us into the future together. I've spoken enough. It was the rain that did that to me. And I was just saying, therefore, I was thinking of Chris Christopherson. I'm praying for rain in California so the grapes will grow and we can have more wine. I said, I'm not praying for rain in Norris and Oakthorne because we already have the wine. But I do hope that you enjoy yourself here. I do want to thank Andy Pollock, who has made such a contribution to understanding of all the possibilities that I've been describing for cross-border and cross-community cooperation, and continues to do so. I also want to thank the Deaf Choir for Girls from St Mary's School for Deaf Girls in Cabra and their director Shirley Higgins, together of course with our sign interpreter Pauline McMahon, Mila Buikas Pauline. May I also thank Mary Kelly, who just heard Sean Keane, Roisin O'Flaherty, Garrod Keane, Conal Duffy, Rebecca, Katrina and their father, Mr. Atkinson and the Havana Club Tri, and muchas gracias el trio, who have provided such magnificent entertainment throughout the afternoon. And Sabina and I are very much looking forward to the performances of Bernadette Morris and the four of us in a few moments. All of these performers are able to perform well because we have incredible, incomparable master of sound, Dee Rogers and his men. There he is taking a bow over there. At enormous expense, booked years in advance. On your behalf and my own, I want to salute the hard work and the good humour of all of this in this space of organic cooking that we have everything here. I want to thank our own staff here in Norris and Oakthorne. I want to thank the Civil Defence and our friends from John O'God's who help us with the invitations, the Defence Forces and our Gashka volunteers for all of their assistance. Tásúla mahéana ag saibhí go minishif John of us and Tronona, agus níléin avresaram, ach go will commissionary Lord. I know that you'll appear to be enjoying this great afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your time. I'm rather sorry that my strong representations in relation to the weather fell on deaf ears, but we must keep our faith. And and I'd enjoy the rest of the time. Mille buíochas as tú. Thank you once again for coming to join us, and enjoy your day. But as I said to you, just don't enjoy today. You will always be welcome here. Come often, and in fact I look forward very much to my own visits to the different varieties and wonders that are there that we share together on this island. Mille buíochas, thank you.